In the vast, silent ocean of the cosmos, there are mysteries that challenge even the laws of physics. Some remain hidden, lurking in the shadows of the unknown, ready to test the limits of our understanding. This is the story of one such enigma, a light that should never have existed, a presence inexplicable by science or reason. At the edge of Sector Epsilon-9, a phenomenon began drawing the attention of astronomers and scientists. What seemed like a routine discovery soon turned into a nightmare that would erase memories, destroy records, and leave invisible traces as if it had never existed. Brace yourself to meet the light that never had an origin, a tale where the impossible becomes real, and a gaze that erases might be closer than we think. Everything started in a forgotten corner of space, Sector Epsilon-9, a region typically devoid of notable events, where stars burn out quietly, following predictable patterns until something peculiar occurred. A star began to shine differently, not with its defining heat, nor with measurable radiation picked up by the most advanced probes. This light was something else, indescribable, as though the very fabric of the universe tore open to allow a presence to enter. Astronomers, equipped with powerful telescopes and sophisticated sensors, quickly realized they weren't observing a common phenomenon. Device readings defied logic, sensors failed, metrics were inconsistent, and crucial data vanished mysteriously. Yet, as machines collapsed, human eyes, watchful observers, saw something transcendent beyond scientific explanation. That star's light wasn't mere energy output. It felt like a living presence, almost conscious, pulsating and breathing in the void. In that moment, no one could have anticipated the impact of this discovery. For it wasn't just a light, it was a silent invitation, a gaze promising revelation, but demanding a terrible price for those who dared to meet it. As the mysterious light manifested in Epsilon-9, telescopes from space stations and observatories across the galaxy swung into alignment. Initially, it appeared routine, an intense glow, nothing beyond known stellar properties. However, as scientists watched more closely, instruments began breaking down, not through technical fault, but something deeper. Radiation sensors, high-res cameras, spectrometers all suffered inexplicable errors, incomplete data, contradictory readings. It was as if the light sabotaged the machines. They failed the moment they tried analyzing its origin. An unknown interference beyond any standard protocol. But curiously, while technological systems faltered, human observers continued to perceive that impossible presence. Witnesses described a disconcerting sensation. It was not only a glow, but an invasive gaze, an overwhelming feeling of being watched, as if the light possessed consciousness and intent. This stark contrast between failing technology and clear human perception deepened the mystery and fear. Scientists began to question just what they saw, but who more what they were confronting. A phenomenon beyond physics and logic. And then the first disappearances began, not of equipment, but of the people brave enough to gaze into the light that never had an origin. In the silent halls of observation stations, horror revealed itself. Scientists, technicians, even casual onlookers vanished, not with a bang or scream, but in a way that defied all reason. They simply ceased to exist. No physical trace, no signs of struggle or death. In the blink of an eye, individuals were erased from reality, from space, time, even the memory of those who knew them. Accounts emerged. A station operator monitoring the light glanced away from his console, and in the next moment, the chair was empty. Another scientist who had looked for mere seconds vanished without leaving a single proof of existence. More terrifying even than the disappearance was that no one seemed able to remember them. Everything vanished. Digital documents corrupted, photos erased, memories of loved ones dissipating like morning mist. It was as if the universe itself rejected their existence, erasing all evidence. Those who once lived, dreamed, and had stories were treated as if they had never walked this world. This unseen threat spread panic and doubt. How does one confront something that leaves no trace? How can you fight an enemy that erases itself and everything it touches? As the light continued its silent, unexplainable glow, fear spread. Everyone knew. To look at it was to invite erasure. And as disappearances multiplied, another horrifying consequence took shape. Killing wasn't enough. The memories of those erased their existence. Their very names vanished too. Families, colleagues, friends felt an inexplicable void. People who once shared their lives simply ceased to exist in memory. Photos disappeared from albums, messages evaporated, official records corrupted or deleted. Even the most secure digital archives showed blank spaces, entire chapters of personal and collective history swallowed by a void. It was as though an invisible force was scraping away the existence of those, erased not only from space, but from the consciousness of the living. Scientists tried documenting these effects, but any evidence was doomed to vanish. Every record they made failed in the face of what they termed, with dread, the shadow of the light. This erasure bred growing isolation among survivors. The boundary between sanity and oblivion grew perilously thin, for not only was the external reality collapsing, but minds themselves began questioning what was real, what was cherished, what was gone. And in the eye of this void and silence, the light continued its cruel dance, drifting across the cosmos, invisible to machines, yet relentless in its mission to erase. What once appeared as a fixed terra incognita beam soon revealed behavior defying logic. It was not static or passive, it moved. With hypnotic slowness, the light traversed the stars, shifting position, crossing stellar routes, skirting neighboring solar systems. It felt intentional, purposive, yet dark. Scientists attempted to chart its path, but the light seemed to anticipate each observational move, slipping away with precision to avoid capture or confinement. More disturbing still was its pattern. It wasn't random. The light appeared to choose its targets, approaching zones of human life or consciousness. It was an unseen predator, silent presence, seeking, selecting, and observing. Whenever it neared a populated or monitored site, someone vanished, like the light collecting or erasing fragments of memory, people, pieces of reality. Scientists agreed. The light didn't just approach, it recognized. Behind that cold, unfamiliar glow seemed to dwell a sentient gaze, a pulsating heart belonging to something beyond human comprehension. And so, as the universe watched in hushed terror, the light pressed on its path, relentless, an ominous invitation. No one dared to decipher or confront. Faced with a phenomenon defying all laws of physics and astronomy, scientists encountered an impossible dilemma: how to explain the inexplicable. Theories emerged, each stranger, each more disturbing. Some posited that the light wasn't a star at all, but a tear between realities, a fragile portal, a crack in the cosmic fabric where parallel dimensions touched, allowing fragments from other worlds to seep in. Others believed the light was a reflection of a universe that should never have existed, a ghostly memory doomed to oblivion, an echo of a past that never was. Some even suggested the light carried its own consciousness, a primordial entity observing and judging, erasing whatever it deemed disruptive to cosmic order, an erasing gaze beyond human understanding. Discussions spilled beyond science into philosophy and existential dread. They faced a phenomenon that might signal the end of reality or hint at a new dimension where knowing too much, seeing too much, could be lethal. While theories were debated in labs and conferences, the light journeyed on, quiet, implacable, and the dread of staring into the unknown deepened in all who studied the light that never had an origin. The gaze that erases. Investigations advanced and reports of disappearances increased. The phenomenon was given a name, one that carried the weight of fear and the unknown. The gaze that erases. It was no longer just a light in the sky, but a presence that seemed capable of eliminating everything it touched: people, memories, records, even the very reality of those who came into contact with it. The name was not chosen lightly. For many, the light seemed to possess a form of awareness, an ability to perceive and judge its victims. An invisible, implacable gaze that decided who would continue to exist and who would be forgotten forever. among scientists and survivors. The term "the gaze that erases" became synonymous with an invisible and incomprehensible threat, capable of corroding not just space, but time and memory. This perception changed everything. It was no longer a simple astronomical phenomenon, but an entity that exceeded the limits of science, physics, and even existence itself. And while the universe continued to observe in silence, the gaze that erases pressed on, relentless and inevitable, forcing one terrifying and urgent question to rise. Are we truly safe when looking at the cosmos? Or are we already being watched? As the phenomenon progressed, scientists gave their best efforts to track the mysterious light's trajectory. Ultra-sophisticated equipment was deployed, complex algorithms developed, and a network of synchronized space observatories was activated, all in a desperate attempt to understand, or perhaps predict, its path. But the light eluded every attempt. Each monitoring method was thwarted by inexplicable interference. Signals vanished, data became corrupted, and coordinates dissolved in a sea of distortions. It was as if the light moved not only through physical space, but also through the fabric of reality itself, bending time, distorting matter, evading any form of capture or containment. Researchers reported mounting frustration and fear. What they were trying to track wasn't a static object, but a fleeting, intelligent, possibly even conscious entity. Every time they believed they were close to locating it, the light vanished, leaving behind only a deep void and the haunting sense that something far greater and more dangerous was at play. As tracking proved more impossible with each passing day, an uncomfortable truth emerged. Trying to control or understand the light that never had an origin would be a mission doomed to failure or disaster. Few have come into direct contact with the light that never had an origin and lived to tell the tale, but those who have carry deep scars, both physical and mental. The reports are disturbing. Many describe haunting visions, feelings of existential emptiness, and a constant sensation of being watched by something beyond human comprehension. The line between reality and nightmare grows increasingly thin. Contact with the light seems to erode not only the memories of the vanished, but also the sanity of those who faced it. Researchers dedicated to studying the phenomenon began to show symptoms of paranoia, confusion, even partial amnesia, as if their minds were trying to reject what they had witnessed. The scientific community, normally grounded in reason and empirical data, found itself divided, torn between skepticism and genuine fear. Many were unable to explain the force that kept the light active or the devastating psychological toll it inflicted. These survivors struggle daily to maintain their sanity, trapped at the edge of darkness, where what they've seen defies reality itself. They are living proof that some cosmic mysteries may not be ready to be unveiled, and while a few continue to endure, the light moves on, silent, relentless, and seductive, a lure that may cost more than anyone is willing to pay. As the light continues its quiet dance across the vast cosmos, a chilling question arises among the stars, one that challenges the reason and courage of those who dare to gaze at the universe. What if the thing we call light is not merely something to be seen, but something that sees us? An invisible gaze, a presence that transcends dimensions and defies human comprehension. One capable of erasing existences and corroding memories. The light that never had an origin. There be the reflection of an ancient gaze, a dark beacon calling us toward something beyond understanding. And what if, in the end, the real danger doesn't lie in what we can see, but in what watches us from within the shadows of the unknown? That question remains echoing in the silence of space. A mystery that invites reflection. How far can we go without losing ourselves? How far is it safe to look into the void, when the void might be looking back? The answer may lie beyond our time, or never be discovered at all.